Okay, it's 5 and then we are starting the webinar. Hello and welcome to this webinar on your pathway to homeownership. I am Sepide Karimi Zierani, the Business and Housing Program Associate at San Pablo Economic Development Corporation with my colleague Aurora. Before we get started, here are a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded. A recording will be available on our website. Any resources mentioned during the presentation will also be available on our website. All attendees are muted. If you're having issues with audio, you may need to click on the webinar screen to enable audio. We welcome questions. Please use the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen to submit questions, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. So the mission of San Pablo Economic Development Corporation is to act as a catalyst for equitable economic opportunity. The SPDC offers workshops, training, and classes for businesses, entrepreneurs, and individuals. To support advancement, we focus on employment training and support, business resources and access to capital, and home ownership, which we are going to discuss on this webinar. This webinar was possible with the help of our wonderful partners, Envirod and MA Hayes Co. We are grateful for their partnership and collaboration with SPEDC. Our presenters today are Vanessa and Marco Rodriguez from Envirod, Nicole Brand from MA Hayes Co., and myself, Deputy Karimi Zierani from San Pablo EDC, which will explain our down payment assistance programs later. Now I turn it over to Marco from Envirod.
Okay, thank you all for joining in. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Sepida, so what we want to do is just pretty much go over this presentation. Again, for those that don't know me, my name is Marco, and this is Vanessa Rodriguez. You're part of the Envirod team, and just wanted to educate more than anything on how to be able to embark on your journey as a homeowner. Next slide, please. Who are we? What is our mission? So we always like to bring to the table our experience. So just want to let you know a little bit about myself. I was born in El Salvador, came when I was a year and a half. And I've been here in the United States practicing real estate for about 20 years. Vanessa, how long have you been practicing real estate for?
17 years. I came also from El Salvador.
From El Salvador. So combined, we have over 35 years of experience. We've helped over 650 families in the course of our last 20 years. And most of our clients are here in the area, San Paulo, Richmond. This is our bread and butter here. So we actually have been involved in many of the nonprofit organizations here, as well as just really have great connections here. So that's who we are. Next slide, please. Let's, we can go through a stage of 8 questions, 8 steps. Buy your first house. This is step number 1. Next slide. Consulting with an agent. So this is very important. Before you actually start looking at homes, it's always to consult with an agent. The reason being is because, again, you find a lot of information online. You have a lot of friends that can tell you how the market works. Maybe they think that they know how it works. Maybe they bought a house, maybe they sold a house. So obviously it's important to consult with someone that understands the market. So consulting with someone that has experience that can help you and guide you through the buying process. Next step. Step number 2, buy your first house. Next slide, please. Pre-approval of the loan. Do you want to talk a little bit about this, Vanessa?
Yeah, well, when you have your first appointment with us, if you don't have a lender that you would like to use to get pre-approved, we have a lot of lenders that we work with for so many years, and we already know how they work, so it's a little bit easier. We will provide you with a list of requirements of what you need to bring to get pre-approved. As far as I know, you need your last 2 years of taxes, your pay stubs, your bank statements to get pre-approved, and that process will take about 5 to 7 days. And after that, the lender will contact you to tell you how your scenario is looking like, how your payments will be, or if you're not ready, what you need to do to get ready in order to get pre-approved.
One of the things too that is great when you're in this stage, there's a lot of first-time homebuyer programs. I know that we're going to touch on some great programs today, but it's also good for you to be able to see your different options. You know, one size does not fit all, so it's good as a consumer to be able to understand the variety of loan products that are out there and pick and choose the one that makes the most sense for you. They're going to talk about payments on the principal, interest, taxes, insurance. Lenders will go ahead and break this down in a way that makes total sense to you. So next slide, please. We are now on step number 3. Next slide. Now we're gonna go and start talking about what that house looks like. Once you've already been pre-approved, we're gonna talk about what's important. Is the kitchen more important than the garage? Is the garage more important than the kitchen? Usually guys are more probably tailored towards the garage and women are more towards the kitchen, right? So we want to talk about all these different items. We want to see what's most important to you. You know, is the bedroom count, bathroom count, the layout. You know, sometimes it's not how big or how small the size is, but sometimes maybe it's just the layout. Is it going to be the location? Is it going to be the price point? There's going to be so many different factors that as your agents or another agent that's going to be helping you, they're going to want to know a little bit more about what you're looking for. So that is step number 3. Next slide, please. Next slide. So now we're going to demystify the real estate contract. A lot of people, especially as a first-time home buyer, this can seem very overwhelming because real estate, I mean, if you think about it, there's contracts, there's clauses, there's terms, there's a lot of different factors when you're going to be signing on the contract. So we want to make sure that we explain this process, whether it's ourselves or another agent. We want to make sure that you're just simply not just putting your initials here and signing here without actually reading the fine print. So typically what we do is we break down the entire contract in the most important sections so that we can explain it to you. Every agent does it in a different fashion. I'm kind of an old school agent. I have my whiteboard, I have my markers, and I like to write on the whiteboard from beginning to end what are all the important clauses on the contract. We're going to go ahead and break this down in a way that makes sense. I don't know if there's anything you want to add in regards to the contract.
Yeah, important dates, like Marco said, we're gonna talk about inspections, how important it is to do the inspections and in a short period of time right now in this market. And also, there's also appraisal, loan, contingency date and all that good stuff like Marco mentioned. We're gonna break it through and so you can understand the logistics of the contract.
So next step. Next slide, please. Then the negotiations start. So this is pretty much in a perfect world. You get pre-approved. Next day, you find that perfect house. You make that offer. Offer gets accepted. You're excited. Want to buy the house, right? But now the negotiation starts. Typically, we have a right to be able to inspect the property. So we might send a home inspector, a roofer, an electrician, a plumber, someone to look at the foundation. But this is very, very important because as a consumer, as a buyer, you want to make sure that what you buy is going to be of satisfaction to you. I'll give you kind of a statistic. They said that people that were buying in 2022, the majority of the buyers probably weren't too happy with their purchase. And the reason why that happened is because a lot of them were waiving their inspections. A lot of them were just buying just because that was the only house that was on the market at that time. So then what happened is they kind of felt like they were just buying to purchase. They bought just to buy, but they really weren't too content. The great thing about now is that negotiation has come back. So now you have a little bit more leverage and we can negotiate repairs. We can negotiate closing costs. And the worst thing that a seller can say is no, right? And that's kind of where I really, really like to get into the whole, in real estate. This is one of my favorite parts because I love to negotiate for our clients. And this is just something that we always recommend to do. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next step, processing of the loan. So this is pretty much once we've already negotiated, we're pretty much now towards the end. We want to make sure that we can get your final loan approval in to make sure that you know your numbers, make sure that interest rate is pretty much in line with what you quoted. We want to make sure that all your documentation has been submitted to your lender. And just make sure that at this stage that you're keeping your credit where it needs to be. We've had it that maybe during the process, someone, you know, they decided just to go buy a brand new car, and they got themselves into a debt, bought a fancy car, $50,000, $60,000 car. Now, because of that new additional debt, they're not able to qualify anymore. So then what we want to make sure is that we're going to tell you the things that you need to have that are in good standing: credit, jobs, making sure your accounts everything is in line. That's going to help to make sure that we can get you to the finish line. So making sure that we understand the processing of the loan is very, very key.
And sometimes in this process, and this is that, clients get a little frustrated because the lender will ask you for a lot of information, a lot of documentation, but just be very patient. This is very normal. Get through it, and once it's done, you don't have to deal with that again.
Exactly, because this is the part where it can get a little overwhelming, because the underwriter and the bank, they're asking for a lot of documentations to prove your credit worthiness. So sometimes it does get a little bit overwhelming, but just know that once you're able to finalize the step, everything starts to get a lot easier from here on out. So next step, please. Next slide. Step number 7, closing and distribution of funds. So pretty much we are almost at the finish line now. You're signing your mortgage documents in front of a notary. You're pretty much are going to see your final numbers. You're going to see your payment, your term of the loan, everything you have to know in regards to the purchase of your property. You're going to see it right here. You're also going to do what we call a final walkthrough, where after you sign your documents, typically you go with your realtor to go look at the house one more time to make sure that the house is in the same condition as it once was when you first submitted your offer. And then pretty much we go on to our final stage, which is our next slide. Step number 8.
It's delivery key, happy day for all buyers.
So this is the day where we're able to now give keys to our clients. This is the moment where you might want to come a little dolled up and nice for the camera. We're going to take pictures and celebrate, give the keys, make sure that this is a day that's going to be memorable, because this is a huge, huge day. I mean, you've worked on average, it's usually from 2 to 4 months from beginning to end just to get to this state. So we want to make sure that you are very, very prepared, because this is a very emotional day. And that's pretty much the delivery of keys. And this is step number 8 on the purchase of a home. Next slide, please. This is pretty much just, if you wanted to follow us, we have our Facebook, Instagram, our Zillow profile. If you wanted to reach out to us. Next slide. This is also for Vanessa. Next slide. This is just our information page. You can find us either on our social media platforms, or we can also receive texts, and our cell phones are right here as well. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and turn this over to Nico.
Thank you, Marco and Vanessa, for that information. Excellent.
Thank
My
you.
name is Nico Veran. I'm from MA Hayes Insurance here in Richmond. I've been in the insurance business for over 30 years. The agency itself has been in Richmond for over 100 years. We do all types of insurance, not just home, but also auto, business, and health insurance. So insurance is simple compared to what involving to buy a house takes. In order to get insurance for your home, we will ask you a few questions about you and additional information with regards to the home that you're planning to buy, like the year built, square footage. And more important, the insurance company would like to know any updates to the plumbing, to the electrical system, to the roof, and to the water heater. And the reason is because due to those things, usually the claims happen because those things are not well maintained. So they want to know how old they could be. If they're more than 25 years old, they will have an issue with it. So the insurance policy will cover the structure, will cover other structures, which means anything that is detached from the home, like fences, a gazebo, or a detached garage, will protect your personal property, anything that belongs to you, clothing, computers, TVs, etc. Also, liability In case you are sued by somebody who might trip and fall within the premises, you have coverage for that. So the policy will protect you, like it says on the slide, for weather, fire, theft and vandalism, damage to your property if a pipe explodes and causes water damage. Vandalism is somebody kicks your door or breaks a window. Things are not covered under your homeowner's policy will be flood, earthquake, those type of policies. You can buy them and we can provide to you that information as well. But those are things that are not given by the insurance companies when you buy a home policy. Basically, it's very simple to get homeowners insurance. If you call us in advance, due to what is happening with the market right now, some zip codes are closed. Some companies are leaving the state. So it'll be good if you can call us like about 30 days in advance if you know what or where you're gonna buy the property. And with that, I'm gonna transfer you to Cepide. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco, Vanessa, and Nico. So far, you have heard from Realtor and insurance experts. Lastly, I would like to present on additional resources for low and moderate income home buyers. One of the first-time home buyer down payment assistance programs I would like to introduce you to is WISH. WISH provides up to $29,000 in down payment or closing cost assistance. Funds are awarded as a 4-to-1 match. No payments due. 20% is forgiven for every year you reside in a property, and after 5 years, 100% of grant is forgiven. Funds are available on a first-come, first-served basis with a purchase contract. Qualifying criteria for WISH are family income must not exceed 80% of the HUD income limit. Borrower must be a first-time home buyer. Borrower must occupy the property as primary residence. Borrower must complete 8 hours of HUD-approved first-time home buyer education. Debt to housing expense ratio must not exceed 35% of gross household income. Single-family detached homes, condominiums, and townhomes are eligible. The second down payment assistance program I would like to introduce you to is SPLASH. SPLASH stands for San Pablo Loan Assistance for Sustainable Housing. The mission of this program is to help low-income individuals and families become first-time home buyers in the city of San Pablo. So the difference about the SPLASH program is that the loan made through the SPLASH program will be deferred payment loans. No payment will be required until the end of the term unless the property is sold or otherwise transferred. Loan amount is up to 20% of the purchase price, not exceed $100,000. Loan interest is the greater of shared appreciation or 3% per annum simple interest. And the length of the loan is up to 30 years. For the qualifying criteria, the individual should be the first-time home buyer who is seeking to purchase a home in the city of San Pablo. Also, borrower and borrower's household must meet income requirements. Borrower must be able to provide a minimum 3.5% of the sales price as a down payment. Loan funds may only be used for down payment assistance or non-recurring closing costs. We give the priority to the first responders, teachers, and veterans. So with this information about the program in mind, if you are interested in applying for either or both of these programs, the first step is to complete the interest and eligibility form. From there, we will follow up with you for the next steps. You can find the form on our website or scan the QR code shared on the screen. Also, please feel free to contact me for further details. This webinar will be presented in Spanish on November 14th. So if you know anyone who would benefit from this, please make a referral and ask them to register. You can register scanning the QR code shared on the screen or visit our website calendar. And thank you for attending our webinar. And once again, thank you to our partner and presenters. We hope this webinar provided you with valuable information. The recording will be available on our website as well as some of the resources and information presented today. Please feel free to contact any of the presenters with any questions you may have. Now we are going to the questions on the chat box.
Okay, the first question is, this is for the MV Rod team. How is the market right now, and does it make sense to purchase a home?
Say the market right now just really depends on where you're at. And for instance, if you're looking at something where you have a little bit more selection in comparison to the last few years, I think this is a great market. In regards to buying a house, then this is just really something that you would have to look at the payments, look at your numbers pretty much, and see if it's something that's worthwhile in pursuing.
Okay, and what advice would you give someone that is wanting to purchase a home currently?
If someone, after maybe looking at the webinar and they are interested in maybe looking at the possibility of qualifying for a loan or to be able to qualify to purchase a home, I would say the buyer consultation, that's step number one. Again, we talked about, going and looking at homes and getting really excited to see if the homes in person, which is great. But it's always good just to realistically sit down with a real estate professional and just see if you're able to purchase. So I would say just doing a buyer consultation, the beautiful thing, we're not attorneys, so we don't charge for our time. So it's absolutely free and it's very educational, because in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, a lot of people walk out and say, wow, I didn't know that you didn't have to put 20% down. I was always under the impression that you had to put so much money down. It's like, no, you have these programs like Splash and Wish that you can use, and you can actually use those to your advantage. So buyer consultation would be a great thing. So finding a seasoned real estate agent that understands the process would be my best suggestion.
Okay, thank you. Now the next questions are for Nico. What are the main questions that a buyer needs to ask about a property that he or she is buying when securing insurance?
The main question should be with regards to updates to the plumbing, to the electrical system, to the heating system, and to the roof. Like I mentioned before, those are the causes that cause the damages to the property. A claim might arise because those 4 things could not have been upgraded. So the newer they are, the better for the homeowner to qualify with the many different companies that we represent.
I know that you meant, second question for you, Nico. I know that you mentioned when you were speaking that some of the insurances are leaving California. Is this due to the fires, and how is the industry affected with the first-time buyers trying to secure property insurance in California?
Yes, a few companies have left the state. Many other ones are not writing insurance, and it affects the buyer. Can you get insurance? Yes, you can. Will the price be low? Maybe not, depending on where the property is located. So it affects the buyer because the cost of the insurance could go up quite a bit. I've seen cases where last year somebody in certain areas, they were paying $1,500, $2,000 a year, maybe $3,000, and now those premiums have gone up to maybe $5,000, $6,000. So it will affect the cost of owning a home. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for Sapita. Using the Splash program, can it be combined with any other loan programs that provide down payment assistance to first-time buyers?
Well, that's a great question. The program loan must be in no less than third position on title behind only a primary purchase money mortgage loan. So it can be.
Okay, and also in regards to the Splash program, I have a 19-year-old son. Should I include his income to the household gross annual income?
So you should consider all the adults' income who are 18 or older. So I would say yes. His income should be included in the gross household income.
Okay, and those are all the questions that we have. Is there any other questions out there? If yes, it is a time now to put it into the question and answer. No, in the chats. Okay, does anyone else have anything else to add? Oh, let's see, I think one just came in. Okay, the question, this is for the wish, I'm assuming. Would I be able to apply if I'm receiving SDI, state disability income?
Actually, this is a very good question. I don't have an exact answer for this question, but I can get back to you with a complete answer. So you can just pass your email address on the chat box, and then I can reach out to you.
Okay, thank you, Sapita. Is there any more questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any more coming through. Would any of the presenters like to add a final or last comment?
I'll just want to just let everyone that's tuned in into this webinar. I think it's very important just to really get educated again. I will continue to stress that a lot because sometimes people have this perception or this idea that things are a certain way, and again, the market has changed. What was true 2 or 3 years ago is no longer true currently. So it's always good just to get educated with up-to-date information. Also, one of the things that I always like to let everyone know is to just kind of run the numbers. You know, again, running the numbers, there's no cost, there's no out-of-pocket expense for someone that wants to look at the financial part of it. So I think it's just always good just to see if it's a good time to purchase. And based on the numbers, you're going to be able to make a really wise and informed decision to see if it makes sense to purchase now or purchase later. Because if we look at the headlines, if we look at the news, there's all kind of things that are being thrown your way. Some of it good, some of it bad. But I always say when the numbers are ran, you know, numbers obviously tell a story. So when you look at those numbers, you can make an informed decision, say, yes, this is something for me, or maybe, no, it's not quite the time and I want to wait 6 months or a year. So that's the only thing I wanted to say.
Yeah, for me, just give us a call at any time. We'll be glad to let you know if we can. I know we can insure your home, but it will be good to know how much it's going to cost insurance for the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sapita, do you have anything else to add?
No, if there is no more question, then I think we can end this webinar. I hope this webinar was beneficial for you and your questions got answered. If you have any more questions, please reach out to me. And thank you again, everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.